Welcome to the Mobile Ecosystem Forum podcast, Perspectives in Mobile. The podcast where we look into the most pressing issues, trends, and innovation shaping the mobile landscape today. In this special series, we look at how companies are managing change in the digital era. This series is supported by NetNumber.
MEF podcast series Perspectives, in which expert and industry leaders talk about what they think, see, and expect in the world of technology, telecommunications, and innovative services. Management change and digitalization are probably the main challenge for businesses in our time, which is a time when the speed of change has become exponential. Transforming industries, markets, and customer experience is the stated mission of Dassault Systèmes and its 3D experience platform. Let's discover how change can improve products, boost efficiency, and reduce costs with Olivier Ribet, Executive Vice President of Europe, Middle East, Africa, Global Operations and Cross Industries at Dassault Systèmes, who joined us today. Hi, Olivier. Thank you for joining.
Ciao, Ricardo. Hello. Nice to meet you.
Olivier, of course, is a manager and also a strategic thinker in digital and business transformation and revenue growth. Olivier, first of all, what is the 3D experience?
So the 3D experience is a technological platform that has been created almost 15 years ago by a French global company called Dassault Systèmes. And this platform allows a little bit more than 300,000 customers worldwide to model and simulate products, physical experiences or virtual experiences to ensure that before going into the real world, you can test virtually and you can also learn from the real world and create virtual twins, virtual mock-ups to run new hypotheses, new ideas before it becomes real again.
Dassault Systèmes steps from 3D models to virtual universes. How these steps are being made?
Yes, I mean, 40 years ago, we started with a simple idea, which was to do a mock-up of a wing of a plane. Instead of doing it in clay or in wood or in forged metal, the idea was to do it on a computer and to model it on a computer and simulate it on the computer. 40 years after, we have expanded in 11 industries, 69 segments, including life science. And the idea of virtual universe is to get closer and closer between the world of virtual imagination, virtual prototyping, and real world, and narrow the distance between virtual and real as much as we can.
So this is the inspiration of, behind digital mockup.
Absolutely.
Science, digitalization, and progress in society. Is stretching the limits becoming dangerous? Let's talk about ethics a bit.
I mean, every time that there has been a significant technological breakthrough, these questions of, is it going to be dangerous for humanity? Is it going to destroy jobs? Is it going to be safe for human beings? And those are legitimate and important questions we need to ask ourselves every time that there is a significant leap. But when you look at what has happened in the last 50, 100, 200, 500 years, human beings have always been capable of staying in control of all of these innovations. And they have been always subject to either distribution of power and re-equilibration, rebalance of power, or regulation, or big established players were suddenly disrupted by new entrants. So human beings have been always smart, and they will continue to be smart.
About all that, what are Dassault Systèmes AI strategies at the moment?
So AI is first and foremost a capability, a technology that has been at the core of Dassault system for many, many years. We actually have, for more than 20 years now, patents and technologies that are powered by AI underlying mathematical algorithm, neural networks, machine learning, and all the capabilities that generative software enables now. The way we have been adopting AI is both on knowledge that companies can capitalize and know-how, whether it is in the form of text, but also in the form of material science, in the form of 3D models. So our AI technologies understand not only the deep elements of physics, but also knows how this is represented conceptually in text, in description, in requirements, in systems, in models. And this blending of data and 3D is really at the core of what we have built around what we call virtual universes, virtual twins, that allow people to blend product and experiences in a broader context. So when you understand how a car is done, but more importantly, how this car is going to be used by citizens and by human beings, then you can start to have not only an incredible way of unleashing human imagination, but you also need a lot of science, a lot of AI, a lot of data to manage all of this complexity at a systemic level. And that's what we do.
What is the ultimate goal of virtual technology, in your opinion?
I think that a little bit more than 15 years ago, when we, Dassault Systèmes, explained that at the core of the purpose of our company, there was this fundamental notion that everything we do is about sustainable innovation. And we wrote that 15 years ago. One answer to your question might be this one, which is, why don't we use virtual twins to do things virtually before doing them in the real world? Because when you start to build things that are poorly engineered, poorly manufactured, poorly thought through, immediately it has consequences. You consume more material, more energy, more unnecessary loss of knowledge and ideas from people. So the idea of virtual twins is really to enable people to think differently about what they are about to do, a new car, a new plane, a new satellite, a new drug, a new medical device, before doing it, and make all the mistakes you want in the virtual world, because you don't need to use energy, you don't need to use material, you don't need to use mineral. You can model and simulate all that in the virtual world before building a new city, before building a new road. You can test and do it again and again. That's when you start from scratch. But the other way around, observing what exists in the real world, now you can capture more and more through advanced technologies, drones, cameras, cloud points, etc. You can rebuild the real world in the virtual universe and then start to modify in the virtual universe what you want to improve in the real world. In short, virtual extend and improve the real world.
Olivier, could you close your eyes for 2 seconds, reopen them, and let's say in the future, 10 years from now, what do you see?
I see a lot of immense progress in the medical and life science sector. Modeling and simulation technologies will have profoundly transformed the way we cure illnesses, we prevent illnesses from happening. There will be a stronger connection between drug, innovative therapeutics, medical device, and new protocols that will have changed dramatically in less than 10 years, actually. I also believe that the way we transport ourselves, the way we move as human beings will have changed dramatically too, with new form factors, with new multimodal transportation. And the way we get energy will have also massively transformed. The grid, the electric grids will have modernized massively, and the sources of energy will have changed dramatically too. We will have obviously more and more wind, more and more solar, more and more thermal energy coming from new sources, fusion energy, nuclear energy, small and medium reactors. So in short, the energy sector will have changed dramatically.
Let's talk a bit about change management, more in general, about digitalization. What's the main risk for businesses in these times of turbulence? I mean, what should change a businessman or businesswoman to keep on, making profits? And that's the point.
Yeah, I think that when you look at, I'm spending a lot of time meeting with small and very, very large corporations all across Europe, in automotive, in energy, in life science, in cities, etc. And when I meet with these managers and leaders from this large enterprise, pretty much all of them shares the same view. First, too much information, too much ambiguity, too much complexity, and as a result, a tendency to overanalyze. So a lot of analysis paralysis, let's call that this way. Two, a lot of cognitive bias. When you have only European people thinking about what will happen in the world, guess what? They will have a very European-centric way of thinking about the world of tomorrow. So a lot of cognitive bias, and as a result, more and more difficulty to take decisions. So analysis paralysis, cognitive bias, and risk of lack of decision. And this is why we believe that what virtual twin allow you to do is to model and simulate things and run tons of what if scenario without taking too many risks, because it's on a computer. You do it in the cloud with many colleagues, with your suppliers, with your customers. It's like being all of us together in front of a whiteboard and iterate on a future product, on a future scenario, on a future energy system, and take decision.
I think that at this point, less material risk is one of the more important in your discourse. And for sometimes we think, okay, times of big changes, digitalization is the solution. But if it was like that, it would be easy. You buy the machine, you teach yourself how to use it, and that's it. Is it digitalization per se the solution?
No, it is not the alpha and the omega of tackling all the problems we have. When you look at all the challenges we have in front of us, it's clear that digital helps tremendously, because in the years to come, we have to change the way we transport ourselves, the way we feed ourselves, the way we cure and heal ourselves, the way we transport ourselves, the way we heat ourselves. So there will be a lot of transformation happening. And what we see across all the countries that I'm traveling to is that everybody realizes that you can put more and more and more digital, but if people are not properly educated, if they have not core skills, it will not work. So I will say that digitalization without education will never work. Or we will create a big population of people who are consuming and ingesting digital, which will be the worst thing to do. So education is becoming, and skilling and reskilling of people becomes probably the most important thing, as important or perhaps even more important than digital, even if digital can help education, but we need to rethink the way we educate ourselves as human beings.
So, in order to recap a bit all that, how would you define digital transformation?
I will say it's rethinking, redefining the methods, the tools, the mindset that are at the core of what you do. So you need to change the methods, the process. You probably also need to adjust the tools you use, and you also need to change the mindset. So these three things, process, method and tools, and mindset, coming together in harmony, as harmonious as possible, not perfectly balanced, but as harmonious as possible, and keeping these three pillars well in balance is probably what defines a good transformation that has an impact, that has a long-lasting impact.
And what about human transformation? I mean, apart from experiments like Elon Musk's, putting chips in your brain, apart from that, was in less.
We have seen we have seen in the recent history, but also for thousands of years, that human transformation is endless and limitless. When you look at what happened in less than 200 years, we moved from economies where we were taking a lot of mineral and coal and things from the earth just to consume them very quickly and put them in a steel mill or to produce metals and so on and so forth. And
garbage.
Yeah, and less than 100, 150 years after, the same extractive technology was used to generate chipset. So,
yeah.
And now, with the same move from mineral to chipset, now we are moving to another level of abstraction, which is an endless capitalization of human knowledge with artificial intelligence and generative AI, etc. And every time you have seen human being getting to a different stage of how he understands the environment he lives in, how he understands that he can be damaging the environmental context in which he lives in, and becoming more and more aware of that. So sometimes people say the earth is doomed because there are too many human beings. I don't think that this is a problem, because human imagination has shown being endless and limitless in finding solutions, in being creative, and in being extremely innovative in finding solutions. And I think that this human transformation will continue. So now, back to your question on, are we going to be physically transformed as human beings? And will technology become closer and closer to us? It's an endless debate. It's clear that you have more and more things getting close to your skin now. A few years back, all these computing devices were 50 centimeters or 1 meter away from you, a TV, a computer, or a phone. Now you start to have smartwatch, you start to have wristband. We saw recently an high-tech company doing a little ring that you will be able to wear on your finger. So it's getting closer to human being. But I think that there will be always, at a certain point, a right balance between what human beings are ready to accept and will not accept. And it will not be only solved with laws and regulation. It will be just the human nature to accept or reject too much of technology too close to the human being. But I have an anecdote for you. 2 weeks ago, I was meeting with a small startup with using some of our technologies for modeling and simulation. And they are tiny, tiny robots that are the size of a fingernail that you can inject through a vein in your body to get close to the location where you have a very difficult disease to cure. And the little robot is literally crawling in your body, getting close to the tumor, and exactly where it has to be delivered will deliver just the right quantity of drug and the right quantity of radiation that will be needed. So if we talk about the possibility of using technology in the human body to do some very, very specific and difficult treatment, today, when you look at the way we manage that, we flood the entire body with a lot of chemical drug that are going to have an impact. So perhaps that we are going to see very, very transformative ways of doing medicine in the years to come. but that will not be against human being. That will be to help human being.
That's a very interesting anecdote. We didn't talk. I mean, we talked about it, but just very in general. But in more detail, do you have? I mean, with the Dassault system, do you have a green agenda? What's the green agenda of your company about sustainability of development?
We don't have a green agenda. We actually have at the core of the purpose of the Dassault system. We wrote more than 15 years ago the following sentence: Dassault system provide 3D experience universe that enables sustainable innovation that reconnect product, nature, and life. We wrote that 15 years ago. So fundamentally, the purpose of our company is really to enable other companies and organizations to be sustainable themselves. So this is why year after year, you see Dassault Systèmes pretty high in the ranking of international companies when it comes to sustainability, not only because we are very careful and consistent in the way we are sustainable ourselves, in the way we consume energy, water, recycle, etc., but also because we have this massive impact on more than 300,000 companies worldwide to help them build products that are more sustainable. We do as good or better than the previous products that they did, the previous train, the previous cars, the previous plane, but with less energy, less material, less weight, less parts. And it's a big element that is at the core of who we are as a company. This is not just an agenda. This is who we are.
What do the customers expect in this era of change?
I think that they expect more trust. They expect more trust. They need to trust that what they see on the screen is true. They need to trust that what they are about to exchange in terms of information with a supplier, with an employee, with a partner, is something that is reliable. So trust is becoming more and more of an important currency in the daily interaction of human beings. And it's clear that the customers we have are more and more taking dependency from each other, from a car company with the suppliers, from an high-tech company with medical device. So you see more and more of connection between different sectors, different industries that were separated before. And now they are coming together because they want to take some very good innovation from other industries. So the question then becomes, who is the owner of the intellectual property? How do you share intellectual property? Can you trust that the people who are going to co-innovate with you will do something that is safe, reliable, traceable, compliant, certified? So trust is becoming more and more of a critical topic than it was in the past.
And the final question, really, at the end of all we talked about, from the business point of view, how to thrive in an era of what I call a consistent disruption. It's our opposite, but are together in this time.
Yeah, I mean, there are many answers possible to that, but I will say, back to the question you were asking earlier on, I think there's a topic of continuous sharing and learning is going to make a huge difference between human organizations who thrive and human organizations who become more narrow. Let's call that this way. You will have companies who embrace the sharing and learning, continuous sharing and learning, what some book authors and psychologists calls a growth mindset. I think is going to be really critical for a lot of companies to reinvest massively in sharing and learning, in listening to podcasts like yours to stimulate ways of thinking and think differently. I think is probably one key element. The second one will be focus and sequencing. It's becoming really, really difficult to carve out in your own agenda, in your own tempo, in your own biorhythm of life, times to think and focus. So the question is, how do you become deliberate on the times that you decide to focus your energy, your intelligence, your learning, your sharing? Not only by closing everything and live like a monk, even if monks have a very respectable life, but accept to allocate time that you are going to give to other people to focus on something that will be meaningful for them, for you, and will be followed up. So the need to focus and sequence over time is becoming really, really important. And I meet with a lot of people these days who are becoming more deliberate in the time they allocate to the time of sharing, learning, and focusing, not isolated, but as a team. And because it's also something that we deeply believe in, this is also something that we inject in the technologies and the platform that we have built to recreate this moment of focus and sequencing and well-orchestrated human-to-human interaction time. Because the more artificial intelligence we will have, the more, I will say, clerical things and traditional things will be done automatically. So now we are going to get a lot of time. Contrary to what people think, we are going to get back a lot of time. So the question is, what are we going to do with this time? Are we going to fill it with unnecessary things and additional disruptions that we have not invented yet? Or are we going to reinvest it in focusing fundamental science, fundamental learning, fundamental connection with human beings, and recreate human-to-human strong, trusted relationship? That's what we believe.
Olivier, thank you for your engaging and passionate words. Olivier Ribet, Executive Vice President of Europe, Middle East, Africa, Global Operations and Cross-Industry and Dassault System. Thank you, Olivier, for being with us.
Thank you, Ricardo.
That's all for this episode of Perspectives, the MEF podcast where experts and industry leaders talk about what they think, see and expect in the world of technology, telecommunications and the innovative mobile services. Stay tuned. From Riccardo Amati, goodbye and good luck with your work.
Thanks for listening to Perspectives in Mobile. This episode was part of a 6-part series on managing change in the digital era, supported by NetNumber, the source of high-quality data on phone number portability, fraud prevention data, and signaling and routing control. Stay tuned, stay connected, and join us next for more insights and discussions.